Welcome to 3 Expert Tips with Annette Lee, where top experts in the real estate world give you tips and tricks to grow your business. Here's your host, Annette Lee.
Tell me 3 tips, and I want you to tell me 3 tips on seller financing, how to get a seller financing deal, because I've tried it. It didn't work out for me, but you are killing it. So tell me your secrets.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call myself an expert at it. I think I just was at the right place at the right time. But I'd say the first tip would be just to ask and basically find out what they need from them. Because if you leave a scenario where everybody's a win-win, then it's really, really beneficial. So the first one would be just to ask and figure out what somebody's goals are. If you kind of approach it like, hey, I'm not trying to get a price out of you, but I'm just trying to have a nice kind of, conversation with you. And as long as you're not pitchy about it, if you're just kind of like a sales guy, but you're just not really making it seem like you're trying to pitch a price, you're just trying to see, just have a normal human conversation. And it doesn't make it seem that way, and they feel comfortable around you. And you just kind of ask them what their goals are. And if you can put an offer together that's based upon their goals, then it's pretty much a no-brainer for the people that I've asked. Now, I'm sure that you're in the Miami area, so maybe people are a little more affluent with investing and they have different goals. But in my area in particular, if they're the older person or a widow or a widower or something, and they just want that monthly income, and they get taxed heavily too. So that would be my second tip, is inform them if they own that property free and clear, they're going to get taxed on that sale. So if you can present it in a way that's taxed differently and maybe lower, or maybe even pushing that tax to a later date, then that also is a good tip to bring up, would be the taxation. And number 3 would just be on seller financing, make it to where the interest rate is going to help them in the long run. So don't try to go for 2% interest like I've heard people do, which is, if you can do that, that's great. But are you really helping the person that you're buying the property from? Probably not. That's just going to be a one-time thing, and the person is going to feel taken advantage of every month. They're going to be calling you, hey, when you going to refinance? But if you give them an attractive interest rate, because most likely these people are going to take this money and put it into a CD account or some kind of account that's not going to be getting that good of a return. So if you can make it attractive to them and kind of compare them. So what I do is every time I do a presentation, I do what Brandon Turner does from Bigger Pockets, is I give them options. So I'll do like option 1, 2, or 3, or maybe even 4. And so the options give them, it makes them have the power, so they think, okay, well, I'm controlling this deal. And it gives them the power to choose. And it really makes them feel like they've won. And usually in a seller financing, the person buying is going to win regardless, usually. So if you make the seller feel like they've won and you really have a win-win, then that's the best way to do these things. Because I've had people even refer me properties that didn't work out, but you never know. One day it could.
Oh, wow. And refers are powerful, because when you approach somebody for the first time, they are not going to trust you. But when somebody's already referring you, they're going to be more willing to talk to you and give you all the information.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like just being personable, because if you remember that these people they're just humans just like you are. If you make it less pitchy, and it's because that's really the problem. And nowadays these people try to go and they make it too fancy. Like they go in a suit and tie, and I'm a really, really casual guy. Like I show up in flip flops, and I just I'll go grab a beer with somebody or something, and it's just super casual to where they don't feel pressured into something. Sometimes now there's certain types of personalities that do like the fancy and professional about it, but that's just not my client. Me, I just want somebody who I'm just going to tell them straight up what it's going to be. I'm very upfront and honest with them, and I'm just casual about it. So that they don't feel pressured by any way. It's almost like it's a normal conversation like me and you were having.
Yeah. And, going back to your tip number 2, about taxation, how do you approach that? How do you explain it to them?
Yeah, so I usually just print out a graph of the local. We don't have counties in Louisiana. We're a little bit weird. We have parishes, so our tax is a little bit different than Florida is. But so usually, if they own a property free and clear here, I can just print out about how much what percentage taxes they're going to owe at closing, and I can just show them that, and then I can show them versus seller financing. it's basically just a piece of paper saying that how much their percentage of taxes they're going to owe at closing, versus if they sell or finance it, they can make interest on their money, and you're taxed differently on passive income than you are on active income, or just as a lump sum sale. So sometimes it's more attractive to them, but usually the taxes is kind of icing on the cake. The real benefit from the people I've talked to is the monthly income, and then actually return on their investment too. So they're not just putting $100,000 in a bank account. They're getting installments of that $100,000 at, say, a 6% interest rate, which is better than a CD.
Interest rate than what they would get elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, like I said, most of the people that we're dealing with aren't like the crazy investor savvy people who are going to get 13% return on their money. These are just normal everyday people. And they're going to go, honestly, like I've even asked them, that's how I know, is that they go, oh, I'll put this money in the CD account or whatever. And I show them the CD rates and I compare it to, their monthly on that versus what they'd be getting on this. And usually it's like, okay, that's a no brainer. I'm just going to give it to you for 2 years and then I'll get my money in 2 years.
Okay. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Nathan, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us your crazy story about seller financing. I want one of those.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not some genius. I just, I think I just put myself in the right place at the right time and just be personal with people. It's just, it's real estate. It's a people business. So that's why I like it so much. It's just be casual and you'll get lucky.
All right. So how can people find you or, reach out to you?
So I just recently started a Facebook group, Gulf South Landlords. And then I'm on Facebook at Nathan Milazzo. And you can email me at Milazzo, is Milazzo 171 @gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for adding so much value to my audience. And thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
This was 3 Expert Tips with Annette Talley, brought to you by Talley Investments. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Our goal is to provide amazing value to your real estate journey. Connect online at www.talleyinvestments.com, where you can find this episode and more. Did you like this episode? Subscribe, like, and share.